So today we're talking about abandonment email flows. Now, in case you don't already know what abandonment email flows are, let me paint the picture for you. So when people are browsing your website, there's a few different areas or stages, or I guess like levels of the funnel that they could leave at while browsing on the website. So this first stage here, we consider this the site abandonment. This means that these people were on the website and they didn't even look at a product. They abandoned the website before even viewing products. Let's pull up an example here. All right, so we'll do, bro, see my search history, it's funny. All right, so for example, if I'm on Dr. Squatch's website right here and I left right here, I abandoned, but I didn't actually view a product, that's where I would fall into this site abandonment flow. Now, the next level down from this is browse abandonment. So now these people have looked at products, but they didn't add any to their cart. And now I'll save you the breath. We're gonna go from that to cart abandonment, and then we're gonna go from that to checkout abandonment. So these are your 4 main stages of abandonment. Now, the interesting part about this is that at each of these stages, and the entire reason that we separate them into separate email flows is because there are different thoughts and different objections that people have based on where they abandoned. All right, so to visualize this, if each of these, situations here had different objections and each objection was tied to a specific number. Let's say site abandonment, those objections were 1, 3, and 4. So like just random objections. Those are objections number 1, 3, and 4. Now the objections that someone might have at the browse abandonment level for your company specifically might be like 2, 3, and 5. Ignore how bad those numbers are. So they're a little bit similar. Like the 3 is similar. These are similar numbers, but they're different, right? They're different objections that we have to talk to. Now cart abandonment, we get way different. So like now these objections are number 6, 8, and 12. And then you get down to checkout abandonment and it's pretty similar. It's like 7, 9, and 10. These are all different objections that need to be handled differently based on where the person left on the website. Now, the issue that a lot of brands and companies make in their email flows for abandonment specifically is that they don't even speak to these objections. Instead, they'll do something like this. Like email 1 will be, offer/discount. Email 2 will be like some reviews with like a reminder about the discount. Then email 3 will end up being just like a last chance for the discount. And like honestly, most of the time they'll just end it there. It'll be as basic as that. Now the problem here, like let's say for example, this was the browse abandonment flow. In the case of Dr. Squatch specifically, let's go to one of their product pages. Now, what's some of the information that someone might be missing here that would cause them to abandon? Well, the first thing we have to consider is that maybe they didn't browse this whole product page, Some people are just not gonna do it. They're not gonna look at the whole page before they, leave the website. They're just gonna be done if they don't see what they like right away. However, I clicked onto this page from the home page, and as you can see here, there are only a few sections here. So if I had a specific question that wasn't answered here on this product page, those are the questions that we'd want to answer here in the browse abandoned flow. However, if you're structuring your flows the lazy way like this, and you're just like giving a random offer, you're doing like some random reviews that aren't tied to the actual objection whatsoever, then none of the stuff that I was, needing to be solved in order to make the purchase got solved. So you can start to see where there's a lot of room for opportunity here. Now, imagine if instead you mapped out the exact most common objections that people have about your specific products or services. For example, this is another brand called Soylent. So these are like healthy meal replacement shakes. Without me going deep into the brand, there's so many objections that would pop up. Whether it's calories or like how often do I need to drink this or like whatever it is. There's just a lot of questions that float around in people's heads that need to be addressed before they make a buying decision. And those unanswered questions are what cause people to abandon. So we need to be addressing them in these flows. Now, I want to make sure this is actually very practical for you. So let's go through some examples here with AI. All right, so watch how simple this can be. This is my brand's website. I am building a browse abandonment flow, email flow for this brand. I want you to tell me the top 10 objections or unanswered questions that float around in people's heads while on the product pages of our website. And I'm literally just gonna do that and we'll see what we get. Okay, boom, gold mine. So now we have the top 10 objections that we need to answer in our abandonment flow. Now, please keep in mind, AI is great for guiding this, but the real sauce here and what you really want to take as inspiration is going to be product reviews. For example, this product has 1,796 reviews. I'm gonna go to the 1-star reviews. So boom, here's someone complaining about it being too many calories and too few grams of protein. So like that's a genuine objection. If this was something that popped up on a recurring basis, they might wanna make an email specifically about how, you know, the protein intake here is good for the percentage daily value that like the average person needs, for example. Obviously, like you can go a lot deeper and make it a lot better than that, but just off the top of my head, that's what I'm thinking. You could even do emails addressing comment or reviews like this. Horrible taste, which actually was the #1 objection that popped up here as well. Does this actually taste good or will I hate drinking it? And then you back that up with, you know, dozens of reviews of people saying that they like the taste. Here's another one, severe cramps and abdominal pain. If someone sees this, they're gonna be pretty concerned. So it's pretty important that you address that objection. Now, an extremely important note I wanna make is when you handle an objection, you want to do it with testable evidence. What is testable evidence? Testable evidence is some type of proof that makes it real. Or like in more clear terms, it's evidence for what you're saying that's testable by the person that's reading it. For example, if you've ever been sold to by like some hardcore closer, they'll ask you questions where you're like, oh yeah, I mean, like that makes sense, I understand. So like in your mind, they got you to test their evidence that they're giving you in your own mind. And this also kind of ties into just using data to back up what you're saying. Like Soylent could sit here and just say like, hey, our shakes don't give you cramps or abdominal pain. But no one's gonna believe them unless they back it up with legitimate data, studies, reviews, whatever that is. So anyways, back to this Claude response. Will this actually keep me full or will I be hungry again in 30 minutes? Amazing objection to tackle. Is this actually healthy long-term? Another great one. Boom, we just saw this in a review. Will this upset my stomach or cause digestive issues? So like now you're starting to see the recurring theme here, and now you can start building out a legitimate abandonment flow strategy that actually answers these questions. So now at this point, you start building out a flow, like for example, let's go back to that browse abandonment flow, where these 3 questions are answered. And then again, you can make tweaks to these in the future based on new questions you see popping up all the time. So let's do a recap. When you're building out your abandonment flows strategy, you want to first ask yourself and figure out, based on AI and product reviews / feedback, what are the top objections that potential buyers will have at this stage in the buying process. Then the next question is, how do we address those objections with real, legitimate proof and or testable evidence? And then everything after this is just about execution, meaning how clearly do you articulate those objection handles in the copy? How well does your design visualize all of that stuff? Are your subject lines good enough in order to actually get them to open the email in the first place so that you can handle their objection? These are all the things that you kind of have to do right in order to really crush this and do it properly. So to make that a little bit easier for you, if you want our full plug and play AI prompting system, we use that for creating email angles, helping us to write email copy, even creating email design assets. Click the top link in the description. You can grab that plug and play system completely free. And if you want to talk to me about potentially helping you with building this stuff out for your brand, completely done for you, done by our team, the second link in the description will take you to our website so you can learn a little bit more about us. But other than that, I got a full course on email and SMS marketing dropping on the screen right here. Talk soon, see you in the next one.